Hi. I take these off. I'm recording another video. I was just recorded one that was like 30 minutes long. It's probably going to take like 5 hours for it to upload. So I thought I'd record a short one. Um, and so, Gosh, what could I talk about? There's so much corruption. I'm in Portland, Oregon. I came up to Portland, Oregon in 2012. I came here on a train from New Mexico. I was in New Mexico because I wanted to meet with Dr. Sterling Colgate. Dr. Colgate was an expert on nuclear weapons. In the 1950s, he was the premier diagnostician of thermonuclear weapons. He worked at Los Alamos. He was a teacher at New Mexico Tech in Socorro, New Mexico. And he worked on Project Pegasus with Andrew Basiago, and he's going to be running for president in 2024. And Andy lives in, or used to live in Vancouver, not British Columbia, and Vancouver, Washington. And that's how I ended up in Portland. I came up here from New Mexico, but I was in New Mexico because I wanted to meet Dr. Colgate and talk to him about his work on time travel. He was using something called a plasma confinement chamber, and Andy went inside the chamber when he was 10 years old in East Hanover, New Jersey, but they had the time lab, which was actually in kind of like the what do you call it, the recreation center of a church. The church is still there. It's on School Street, and on the corner of School Street, and then there's another street. I think it's called Kitchnell Memorial Presbyterian. And I spoke with the pastor there. Her name was, I think, Margaret, and she didn't sound like she was real happy with what I was telling her about the time travel technology. That was quite a while ago that I talked to her, though. So Andy was in this plasma confinement chamber that was designed by Dr. Colgate, and he was, supervised the traveling, and Andy's father was there, and I think this was like 1971 or 72, and they sent Andy back to 1863, so they wanted him to view the Lincoln giving the Gettysburg Address, but the quantum field effect wore off before Lincoln gave the speech, but Andy was there. He was actually photographed, and there's a photograph of him that's referred to as the Josephine Cobb image. So Dr. Colgate wouldn't talk to me, and I ended up coming up to Portland, leaving New Mexico after being there for 2 months. And had just some issues since I've been in Portland. I was never in jail in my life prior to coming to Portland. 2013, I got arrested, spent 2 months in jail, and then got out. Several months later, I was arrested again. This time I was in Long Beach because I couldn't stand being in Portland anymore. They're so stupid that I knew, that a lot of things didn't happen that nobody here knew because the news media was reporting false information. Like nobody was killed in Newtown, Connecticut. That's the reason I was arrested the first time. It was at the request of the New Haven FBI that I get arrested. They put a request into the Portland police. And the New Haven FBI apparently wasn't informed that no one was killed in Newtown, Connecticut, at the Sandy Hook Elementary School. And this shit's been going on forever. I mean, it was supposed to have occurred December 14th, 2012, but there was no shooting. The school was closed. Robert David Steele talks about this a lot. Robert David Steele was a CIA spy, and he has a website, Earth Intelligence Network, and so there's corruption recently here in Portland. there's corruption everywhere. I mean, everywhere you look, it's corrupt. So it was reported in the news media that there was a shooting at a synagogue in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And that's the area where this man, Fred Rogers, used to live. Fred Rogers was a children's television host, he had a PBS show. Tom Hanks, who's a pedophile, him and Steven Spielberg are pedophiles. But Tom Hanks is filming a movie about Mr. Rogers. He's playing Fred Rogers, which is just disgusting when you think about the fact that Tom Hanks is a pedophile. But there was no shooting in that synagogue, and President Trump knows this, and but he's being blackmailed. I don't know why it's happening, but he won't say anything about nobody dying, and so I was reading, back to Portland, I was reading an article online, and it said that the governor, Kate Brown, Oregon Governor Kate Brown, Senator Ron Wyden, and Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler attended a vigil at Beth Israel Congregation here in Portland, Oregon, on the evening of October 27th because they thought people were killed in the Pittsburgh synagogue, and nobody was killed. So I emailed the mayor's office, Senator Wyden's office, and then Governor Kate Brown's office. And I got this email back from the whore that works for Mayor Ted Wheeler, his assistant, and told me not to contact him anymore, which is, he's the police commissioner, and I have an issue with the police, although I haven't had any contact with them in a couple of weeks, thankfully. They did violate my Fourth Amendment rights on October 30th. I was pressured into allowing them to search my room. I had a police officer named Combs who said he wanted to search for an arsenal, and he was going through all my books and my papers. I don't know if you can, I got some books up there, and then there's some books I have here, and then there's the books here. So he was going through all my books and papers, and I mean, I thought when you say you're looking for an arsenal, you're looking for like weapons or something. And I've never had a weapon ever. Never owned a gun. A long time ago, when I was younger, when I was working for United Parcel Service as a driver, I had this psychiatrist on my route. I had a hospital and a bunch of doctors' offices on my route, and the doctor's offices surrounded the hospital. And there was this one really intelligent psychiatrist, Noel Williams, and he was a gun dealer, and I would often deliver pistols to him, just one at a time in a box, and he was always trying to sell me a gun. But I could never think about spending that kind of money, and I really didn't think, what am I going to do with it, really? I mean, I'm not going to use it. I didn't want to spend the money. But he was always trying to sell me a gun, and he was a psychiatrist. A really intelligent psychiatrist. He had studied under Dr. Carl Menninger at the Menninger Clinic. And I remember Noel told me one day that when he was in school, he got voted like the most intelligent boy in Oklahoma. But I've never owned a gun. And then this officer Combs, who works for the Portland Police Bureau, was, intimidating me. He had me ask me like 3 times if he could search the room. And each time he was doing that, you could tell his blood pressure was rising. So, I didn't want to be assaulted or arrested, so I gave in. I don't know how I started talking about that. Filed a complaint with the Police Independent Review Division, I think it's called. And they said that the police officer didn't do anything wrong because I let him in my room. This totally unempathetic piece of shit that works for the police review division. And I told the guy I felt like I was going to be assaulted if I didn't let him in. and he's saying the police officer didn't do anything wrong because I gave him permission. I gave him permission because I thought he was going to beat the shit out of me. You fucking ignorant piece of shit. These people here are so stupid and violent. They're really stupid. The people in government in Portland, Oregon are dumb. I got this one woman, Deborah Kafori, who's the county chair. I was dumb enough to spend 5 years contacting her office to ask for help because I was abused in the jail after I was arrested in 2013. I was arrested at the request of the New Haven FBI office. I was never read my Miranda rights either. I had this detective, Tony Harris, who arrested me. I don't know if they've ever disciplined him. He's another piece of shit. So this video shouldn't be removed for using profanity, because I know you guys have a man on YouTube, a guy, Phil someone, goes by a name Sexy Phil or something like that. He's got a wife, I think Lindsay, and a child. Lives in Southern California. And he curses a lot. I remember seeing him like months ago. He curses. He calls the people something bastards or whatever. Refers to his audience as magnificent bastards or something. So, I'm at almost 12 minutes. So, I have friends with the CIA and the NSA, and I have a lot of contacts now since I watched an interview that Alfred Weber did with a man named Kevin Trammell, who lives in Canada. I started finding a lot of other people that opened up a whole new world to me of people that participate in secret space programs. Like Anthony Zender, Kevin Trammell, Penny Bradley, Elena Kapotnik, Matt Tracy. All these people have been up into space. Anthony's been to Mars, Penny's been to Mars, Elena's been to Mars, Kevin's been to Mars. The reason I came up to Portland, Oregon from New Mexico because I wanted to meet Andrew Bashago, who's going to run for president again, and I think he gets elected in 2024 because his father told him that he gets elected. They had time travel technology, so and Andy's been to Mars, and there's a paper that Andrew wrote where he lists 14 people that teleported to Mars from a building in El Segundo, 999 North Sepulveda Boulevard in El Segundo, across from the Los Angeles airport. It was a building that was occupied by the Hughes Aircraft Corporation, or it was owned by the Hughes Aircraft Corporation. It was occupied by the Central Intelligence Agency employees. So Andy has been up to Mars like 40 times, I believe. He used to take discs, computer discs up there. I learned a lot more like when I was listening to Elena Kapotnik, because she talked about ICC, the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. They have a lot of facilities up there, like about 200, and some of them are making cyborgs. And she said that when she was up there, one of her jobs was to was a quality control inspector, inspecting the body parts to make sure they were suitable for making the cyborgs. Interesting thing about the cyborgs, when I was in New Mexico at Stargate to the Cosmos conference that was put on by Janet and Sasha Lesson, who live in Hawaii, I was at an elevator in a hotel waiting to go up to my room, and I met this guy named James Rink, and I was familiar with him. I'd seen him online. He has a super soldier talk YouTube channel, and he has a website, and I was referred to him by Anthony Zender, who was a super soldier, who is a super soldier, and Anthony had told me, because I'm friends with Anthony on Facebook, and his mother Donna, who's also in the program, Anthony told me he had done an interview with James Rink. So that's how, and I'd watched it before I went to New Mexico to the Stargate to the Cosmos conference, which was, October 25th through the 28th. James was saying at the elevator that he had written a letter to President Trump about plans for a Mercedes-Benz that gets 50,000 miles to the gallon, 50,000 miles per electric charge. And there's an electric car. But I think he said it came from an alternate reality where the Nazis won World War II. And the people that were manufacturing the car, they were getting paid $40 per hour. And the car only cost $5,000. But he wrote a letter to Trump, and I don't know what it all entailed, but Trump wrote a letter back, James said, and there was an encrypted message from the NSA, and James gave it to a friend of his who goes by the name Peter the Insider, who works for the ACIO, and had the message decoded, and it said that Trump didn't, that he was concerned about cyborgs in Detroit. He didn't want cyborgs in Detroit. And James has some cyborgs. He sent me a picture of a cyborg of his. A lot of these people that are in the space program have clones, I guess. Penny Bradley has told me she has a couple of clones. A lot of these people, like Penny Bradley was kidnapped when she was 4. She came from California. This was back, in the early 1960s. I can't remember exactly when she was born. I think maybe 1955. I'm not sure. So I think it was 1959 that she was kidnapped by the CIA, taken across country to Langley, and then they did something called mind fracturing, which they create multiple personalities, and then they program these personalities. And I get this. I was contacted by this woman, Penny Shepard, online. She contacted me shortly after I posted a video online. I don't know if she saw it or not. I'm guessing that she did. It said, "My friend Penny," and it was a video about Penny Bradley. It was Penny Bradley talking about her experiences in the secret space program. So I was briefly friends with Penny Shepard, who was an MK Ultra super soldier, and she was born in Florida in 1958, August 11th. And the character 11 on Stranger Things is Penny when she was young. It's all based on her life, but she doesn't get any money out of it. And then she stopped wanting to be my friend on Facebook because I was chatting with her and she was telling me how her son John McEntee was the body man for President Trump. And then I did some research after she told me this, and then found out that he was asked to leave the White House because the excuse was that he was gambling a lot of money at the MGM Resorts International Hotel over by the Potomac. I can't remember what the name of it is. And so he no longer works in the White House. And John McEntee attended the University of Connecticut. He played for the Huskies. I'm not sure if that's basketball or football. I don't know what he's doing now. But his mother, Penny Shepard, I really wanted to try and be friends with. And she has like 5 Twitter accounts, 4 Instagram accounts, a Facebook account, 3 email accounts, and then her phone number. But all the accounts that all have the same information, she just posts the same information on all the accounts, so it's not like they have anything different. Penny is interesting. And then the 2 Pennies don't get along with one another, Penny Bradley and Penny Shepard. Penny Bradley doesn't want me bringing up Penny Shepard's name ever. Penny Bradley said that Penny Shepard treats people like they're parsley on the plate. Like Penny Shepard is the main course and everybody else is just parsley on the plate. So I'm assuming Penny Shepherd blocks a lot of people. I feel bad for Penny Shepherd, but she doesn't answer a lot of questions. And I notice a lot of people, the only person I can really get a lot of information from is Penny Bradley. And she's always open to communicating. But a lot of these other people, like Kevin Trammell, and there's this girl, KJ, I think it's like Krista Jane or something. She goes by the name KJ Scoops because I think she works for a newspaper in Boston. But she's a super soldier. And Anthony Zender, a lot of these people don't reply back. I was hoping to talk to Kevin Trammell, but he never replied back to the message I left on his YouTube channel, other than deleting a comment that I'd left on the one video that he posted. He deleted the comment. I wrote nice, and that was it. And then I went back and put some other comments, told him how it really weighs on my mind with all of these people in secret space programs that are sick. They're all ill. Every one of them has problems. These secret space programs that, like Solar Warden, which Kevin Trammell was in. I think Anthony Zender may have been in Solar Warden as well, which is it's associated with the United States Navy. Oh shit, I'm making a really long video. This is going to take a long time to upload too. I'm at 21 minutes. I'm going to stop recording, and then I'll record something later on. There's a lot of corruption in Portland. In the newspaper, Portland, The Oregonian, which is owned by a East Coast company called Advanced Publications. They don't want me contacting them anymore. They don't want to hear about nobody dying in the Synagogue and nobody dying in Newtown or nobody dying in Orlando Pulse nightclub or the Boston bombing being fake. They don't want to hear about any of that. They just rather keep printing false information for the people. The same thing with the local television stations. They don't want to hear from me anymore either. And like I mentioned earlier, the mayor's office told me not to contact them anymore. It's just a bunch of jerks. I'll talk to you later. You can look up some of the names of those people I told you about and look at their information. A lot of them have YouTube videos.